And joining us now here in studio, Mr. Dan Perry, International Affairs Analyst. Thank you very much, Mr. Perry, for joining us. So tensions are very much evident between the current Biden administration and the current Netanyahu administration. This is at least the optics of it from both sides, I must say.
It's kind of unprecedented. I mean, Israel and the U.S. have had periods of tension before. Eisenhower, of course, forced Ben-Gurion to withdraw from the Sinai Peninsula after the war in 1956. Famously, James Baker said nasty things to Shamir about 30-some years ago. Kissinger pressured Rabin in the 70s, but I don't recall anything like this, where the Democratic majority leader says Israel's prime minister has lost his way, calls for a new election. The U.S. president then says it was a good speech, and this comes shortly after he declared that Netanyahu does more harm than good. So the American administration is clearly telling the Israeli people and the Israeli system, get rid of Netanyahu. Very dangerous.
Are they telling it? Are they saying that to the Israeli people and the Israeli political system, or are they saying that to Democrats in the states that are set to head to the ballot soon?
I think it's not a game in the case of Biden.
Yeah.
When the U.S. president calls himself a Zionist, when he stands shoulder to shoulder with a person who is a political nemesis in Netanyahu.
And yet irritating so many Democrats.
Here's the thing. As we know, Biden has to signal to the progressives and to the Muslims in Michigan that he's not doesn't have blind support for Netanyahu's war policy. On the other hand, if he goes too far, he might lose the Jews and his centrists in key states like Pennsylvania.
And yet, would we have heard a different tune coming out of Michigan or the squad if it was Benny Gantz at the helm here in Jerusalem? I doubt it. I doubt it.
If it had been the same exact circumstances, but then you're probably right that it would be the same tune. But it would not have been the same circumstances, Ellie. Benny Gantz would not be in this situation.
This esteemed officer, Goldfuss, who is openly criticizing the government.
This takes us back to the first thing we discussed with Chuck Schumer. Why are the Americans so upset with Israel? It comes down to this. Netanyahu refuses the global plan, everyone's plan, to restore the PA in some new version to Gaza, something Israel itself had been demanding for 16, 17 years. Now Netanyahu won't hear of it, fueling the suspicion that he's just trying to play for time and prolong the war. So Goldfuss says the same thing, essentially. He is projecting something that is a big part of the discourse in Israel and in the army, which aligns with Biden and Schumer, in that they want the government to articulate a day-after plan to project that it has some kind of strategy and that they're fighting for a thing that is an actual thing and not the political survival of the government. So it was unseemly of Goldfuss to say that he's an army officer.
Exactly.
Serving it. No, it was wrong. It was also wrong of Schumer to call for elections in a different country. But we're not living in a very genteel era. We're living in an era where the future president of the U.S. could be a person who is twice impeached, has 91 criminal counts against him, and tried to overturn the previous election. We're living in an era where Netanyahu himself flew to Washington, went to the Senate, to Congress, and argued against the policy of a sitting vice president. We're living in an era where Putin is threatening nuclear war. So all bets are off. There is procedure that it was violated, and then there's the content. And the content is something that a lot of people agree with.
Procedures are there to apply to all. And if the name was not Schumer and Goldfuss, but I don't know, Putin and whoever else, perhaps the analysis would have been different. The procedure, the principle was violated, and this is perhaps what we must.
The principle was absolutely violated.
We must protect it. Just a thought. Dan Perry.
Can I just tell you, Ellie, really quick? Israel has no strategy. Hamas had a strategy to put Israel in hot water, to have anti-Semitism flourish around the world, to destroy the Saudi deal. It's time Israel had a strategy.
All right. Mr. Dan Perry, thank you very much for this.